So, if you're ready, in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, let's go.
We are in for game number 1 between Aftermath and BZK. And this one's going to be on Steppe once again. Steppe does seem to be quite a popular map in this pool. It's been played in all 4 of the quarterfinal games, and it seems to be either played in game 1 or 2, so it's quite an early pick. Seems like teams are quite enjoying this map and the sort of open style of it.
Pretty much. I mean, I like the map for sure. And with this one, we can expect a lot of interesting gameplay early, mid-game, late game. Pretty much we've enjoyed on the previous game for sure. I'm just going to start right away by introducing the Aftermath players here. Starting on the left-hand side, bottom left-hand side, the flank is going to be Liri with the Chinese. Then his pocket is going to be Hart with the Berbers. The other pocket in the teal color is going to be MBL with the Franks. Then we have in the gray color on the right hand side Hera with the Mongols.
All right, so we'll talk about the civs, I guess, in a little bit, but to continue on around in anti-clockwise circle, we have Miguel in the red playing as the flanks as the Mongols. The pocket player is Goku playing in the purple as the Spanish. To the north, in the yellow, it's Fire playing as the Berbers. And on the west flank, it's Riot playing in the orange as the teal. So that's Chinese versus Chinese on the left flank, and it's Mongols versus Mongols on the right flank, with a Berber and Spanish pocket for BZK versus a Frank and Berber pocket for the Aftermath team. So the key difference here, the Spanish and the Franks, those are the 2 differences there. We've got Franks for the Aftermath team, and we have Spanish for the Spanish team. For the BZK team. And that's kind of interesting because both civs kind of fulfill a similar role in the game. The Franks have the better paladins, but the Spanish have the trade bonus.
Yeah, the trade bonus is probably one of the strongest team bonuses that you can have, especially in the 4v4. That's not even underestimated. That's something that is really huge. And then again, considering the roles, they have some specific similar functions, but maybe also for different reasons. I like the Franks early game because of their scouts. Then again, with the Spanish, you can trush. Then the mid game is a bit different because then with the Spanish, you have the Conquistadores. Could be something, and later on, still, it's going to be about the Cavaliers then on both sides, with the Franks then having maybe the upper hand. So those are the things that we could analyze throughout the whole game, and definitely looking forward to seeing how this is going to develop on the flanks very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the flanks are mirrors, so it's going to be quite a closely fought one, I imagine. We're going to have Berbers and Chinese on the left, and then we're going to have Chinese and Berbers on the other left, the opposite left. I don't know. There's not another left. The other left is the right. That's not. You can't say that. But yeah, then on the right side, of course, like I say, the Mongol flanks here. So Hera versus Miguel on that right side. That's going to be interesting. I admire Miguel as a player a lot because I remember watching so much Nations Cup. Nations Cup has always sort of stuck out in my mind as such a great tournament, and I always remember Miguel putting in such great performances for the Brazilian team and doing just fantastic stuff for his team. And then he's playing against Hera, who's this younger player with a lot less experience, a lot less tournament experience, but certainly got a lot of talent. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out there. And of course, he's going to be supported by MBL. And MBL, by the way, as the Franks here, immediately going to those forage bushes. There was a huge amount of forage, and he's taking advantage of that Frank bonus really early on.
Yeah, I think that was really a good decision for the beginning for sure. And yeah, the right hand side is going to be interesting for sure as well, because there's a 99% guarantee that both pairs are going for scouts with the civs that they have. Miguel Zin is going to be the first one clicking up. That's some beautiful uptime. 16 villagers only, and he's going to click up. That's some insane time. Not necessarily good for his economy in the long run, at least for the beginning. But then again, his potential scout rush will be devastating time-wise. I guess even Hera will be slightly caught off guard because he is clicked up with 3 villagers more, for instance, as a comparison. So there's going to be some difference in the result probably because
Yeah.
Migazin will be up with his scouts earlier, basically.
Well, Miguel is already 50% to completing his first scout, and Hira hasn't even started building a stable yet. So, that's a huge difference there. Hira also doesn't have Loom. He will need to get Loom at some point if scouts are about to come out on the map. And Miguel even has Loom on top of all this. So, yeah, Hira just completing Loom now. But I think this really fast aggression from Miguel, it's obviously planned. It's supposed to be this fast, and that's because he wants to make sure he can grab the deer in the middle of the map safely for as long as possible. And if you're the aggressor, sometimes the best defense is a strong offense, and I feel like that's the approach that they're taking here. Interestingly, Hira not going for scouts, but instead going for archers, and I feel like this is mostly because you've got MBL in the pocket, who's going to be going for the stronger scouts as the Franks. But also, I feel like it's a little bit dangerous because his gold mine's quite far away from his town center. It's not got a lot of protection there.
Yeah, he needs to rely on his quick walling skills. Easier said than done. For that one, he has also put a spearman there just in case, because he is anticipating correctly that scouts will be incoming. The scouts themselves being up so early is of course quite nice, especially on this map, because now the middle is really dangerous, a danger zone, so to speak. If you want to go for the deer, you can be sure that Migazin is going to be there waiting for you with the scouts. Speaking of which, they're currently now trying to see where they could strike at in front of Hera's base, doing some circle moves there, but MBL is there in time with 2 scouts, currently missing his trademark spearman. He left it close to his own mill, but Migazin instead went forward with his spearman, so of course MBL needs to be really careful.
Yeah, MBL Miguel, lost his spear there, I think, and Hira managed to chase it down. Hira made a lot of spears, actually. He knew just how quickly that Miguel would be up. The scouts fighting in the middle. MBL will get the first pick there against Goku. Goku has a spear nearby, however, so he will be able to try and defend these villagers of Miguel a little better. But now there's archers here from Hira. They have got the perfect combination to pick off the spears. And that's why archers and scouts can work better than scouts and more scouts, because the archers can always work to pick off the spears. However, in this position, Hira caught out now. The archers, much slower moving, out in the open, can be picked off very easily. So there is a much greater risk sending small numbers of archers across the field with just a sheer number of scouts out like this.
Yeah, something also important happens on the left-hand side. Libra was actually able to kill a villager and also some archers here of Riyadh. Then again, though, Fire is there to save the day. The scouts are there to basically push the archers out once again. I like the fact that Larry was actually quite successful there. Hart had his initial bodyguard type of scout there to protect the archers, but now the situation has shifted towards the middle of the left-hand side, so to speak. It's more even. I see an advantage for Riyadh because of his additional skirmishes, but he only gets fletching now. Larry with some exceptional fletching timing there. We got it at least a minute or 2 ago, so that is actually well done, but still, the situation is kinda safe for Riyadh. He's walled himself up. That's the most important thing for him and his safety. And now we'll see how Aftermath tries to build up the pressure.
Miguel getting in on that wood line of Hira, though, will find a villager, maybe finds 2 or 3 in total, as this one here on the left gets caught out. So very, very, very good stuff for BZK so far. What I don't like, though, is the fact that... oh, wow, this fight continues. I thought that Miguel would get out, but then I realized it's Goku that's here. So there's a lot of scouts here for the BZK team. Hira is taking an absolute beating right now. A lot of dead villagers. Down to 23, 22 villagers now, and that's a catastrophe for him in the early game.
Yeah, indeed. I'm just trying to sync the time here. I think now it's perfect. Yeah, it's unexpected, but that was some great teamwork. The scouts were able to get a couple of villagers. That's incredible. Just such a low villager count for Hera. He is going to be severely hurt. I mean, economically speaking, it's quite obvious. Good luck getting out of this situation. The others have more than 35 villagers in average, so that's definitely some damage done there. Well done by BZK. Important. The one flank, that is Hera, is now severely hurt.
Yeah, and
And
across the other side, Leary and Hart, they've got good control over the map, but they haven't done significant eco damage. So they're okay, but they haven't hurt them back on the other side. So it really is Aftermath falling behind here a little bit, as Goku will be the first player to click up to the Castle Age. He's playing really well this game, not only doing significant damage with his scouts, but also getting up to the Castle Age considerably faster than anyone else on top of all of that. So well played to him, and well played to BZK so far. Aftermath, though, have certainly aren't out of the game just yet. We'll see what they can do. My main concern is the walling. They're playing very, very, very open at the moment. There is no team wall in sight. And you compare that to BZK, they have got a pretty solid team wall across the middle of the map. And that's just sort of like the old school, I guess they're older players, maybe more experienced players, and they maybe aren't feeling so confident that they can play without walls, and they know just how valuable a good team wall can be.
Yeah, especially on a map like this where you can be sure that scouts are going to play a huge role. Walls are quite of an easy way to keep them out, basically. And therefore, it's certainly surprised me that the Aftermath players are playing it quite open. MBL, for instance, rather with this architecture in order to create some TC walling, so to speak, to save his wood line. Scouts, in many cases, especially with buttons, would ignore this.
Hira taking huge beating there. Disappointed Hira, losing a lot of archers to the towers. He's just trying to support MBL, who's raiding the farms of Miguel. Miguel actually taking a couple of villager losses here, but he still leads the game with 38 or 39 vills, so does lose a couple more. Maybe a little sloppy, but the Castle Age is in now for Goku, and the Knights are out, so I imagine this will get cleaned up very quickly, and Hira and Hira and MBL will lose everything. But the scouts from Fire now going in once again to Hira's woodline. I feel like Hira can't catch a break this game. They're not even giving him a chance to recover.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Always keep up the pressure and don't give your enemy the time to recover, because Hera is potentially one of the most dangerous players when it comes to the utilization of cavalry units, and with his skills, scouts, knights could be quite dangerous. He has a reputation for being a good hunts player for a reason, so I like it that they focus on him so much to create this kind of 4v3 situation.
Yeah, and there's the drop, so we will load up the second half of the game now. And through the power of recorded games, we don't have to wait for 20 minutes for the players to get back into the game room and resume the game. We can just continue straight on. So if you're ready, I'll count us down and we will continue.
I'm ready.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, there we are.
All right. Apparently I released a mega spoiler, only I didn't, because the next game also drops, and since it's a best of 3, you only saw 2 games. You don't know if the next game is a win or a loss. So let's continue on, and we are going to see MBL running back now as Goku chases him down with some knights. I don't think MBL will do much more with those scouts. And guess where those knights are headed, Demise Red? I think they might be headed towards Hira here.
Oh, what a surprise, what a surprise. But yeah, indeed, they're going for the base, and this could be quite devastating. The Knights of Goku with Bloodlines and +2, they're ready to take on the army of Hera with ease. I mean, look at Hera. What does he have? Archers with fletching. Knights probably at this moment just smirking, and with the support of many more units here, it's going to be so tough for Hera to get out of the situation. Just the question is, of course, how long do you want to focus on Hera? When do you want to focus on other opponents? That's always the question. But for now, also other teammates are trying their best to help out Hera here. For instance, MBL with his pikemen.
I mean, I feel for Hera. I really feel bad for him. Honestly, it's It's horrible. I know what it's like to be in his position because I've been there, you know? I've been there when I've been in a team game and I just keep getting raided. One player leaves my base, and then the next player comes in, and the next player comes in, and they're all having a go. They're all having to go on the punching bag. And unfortunately for Hira, today he is the punching bag. You know, I feel like if he's able to wall his base, there we go, the walls are coming down, then he can certainly help to reduce this raiding. But it's not an easy position for him on the map, and it's certainly not an easy wall.
Yeah, that's definitely some ambitious walling that he needs to go for. For that one, he requires such a villager dedication. He hurts himself with that one, even though he has to, so that's understandable. Yeah. So what I like from Aftermath is, though, they're trying to push back now by some counter raiding. This is very much important. Don't remain in this strictly reactive stance. Go out there and get a couple of kills yourself to slow down the enemies as well.
Yeah, I feel like we should now sort of move our attention a little more to the left side because it's been a little quiet over here, right. But, you know, I think Leary and Riot both playing very carefully. Riot here going to take the fight against Leary. He's got +2 defense on his archers, but there's knights here from Hart coming in from behind. Riot should have gotten off to a good start there, but as soon as those knights come in, he has to back away. Fortunately, Fire's on the way over with a greater number of knights, and I think Fire's immediately going to go for the back lines. This should work out well for BZK. I think Leary may end up losing most of his, well, maybe not most of his archers, but at least a good chunk of them here as they try and get out. I guess it depends whether or not Fire wants to commit to chasing them down. I certainly think that Hart will lose even more knights if he stays in too long.
It's certainly about the decision. Do you want to commit now? Do you want to punish your opponents even further now that you see that they're moving back? But the safe play is, of course, not to focus too much. Just go back slightly a bit and then reinforce or focus on somewhere else. Because as far as I can tell, also now towards the middle of the map, there's some units meeting up there. That's Fire and also Goku versus Hart and MBL. MPL surprisingly with his pikemen on the run, but that's all about it. I think I like the situation for BZK way more.
Yeah, BZK are in a really good spot right now, and if you look at the eco as well, they're all doing pretty well economically, but I don't know, actually. It looks to me like Leary's eco is on fire at the moment. He's done a really good job of booming up and keeping his military count high. So I think this left side could go really well for AM over the next couple of minutes, but I think the right side is obviously going to go in favor of BZK. So it's a question of which side does the most damage. There's a risky play for BZK now. They're sending Riot out across the map, and at the same time, Leary and Hart decide to attack. So BZK have to commit now to either hitting MBL or Hira with all 3 of their players, and they have to do what damage they can while Riot tries to defend at home alone.
Yeah, and the way how Riot tries to defend is really interesting as well. Stone walls, buildings, that's normal, and then 4 siege workshops in total that he's trying to build in order to fill in the gaps right away.
More siege, more mangonels. Well, he hasn't built a single mangonel yet, but if he gets one out, it could help against all these crossbows. So it would be a good decision to make, I think. But yeah, this should go well for BZK down in the south. It looks like we've got Hart here with some camels, but there's so many crossbow from Riot behind this that the camels will get taken out quite quickly, as will the pikemen from MBL. So it looks like Aftermath in full retreat over here. Hira losing yet again some more villagers, unfortunately for him. And now I see Miguel sending some sling out to Riot. Miguel still in the feudal age here, of course. And we're going to be seeing a little bit more sling coming out. But more importantly, Goku up to the imperial age so fast compared to the rest of the pack. And able to do Cavalier in just a few moments' time.
Yeah, that's going to be really strong. His villager count is not too low in comparison to Riot, for instance, and therefore his economy is going to be strong enough to just maintain a fairly good cavalier production, at least in theory. Depends on how he uses the army, that's for sure, but there's a good basis for that one. He has the help of Riot, so the incoming Berbers camels will struggle most likely if Riot acts accordingly. And now we have another engagement that will be quite bloody.
Yeah, of course, Hart receiving some sling now as well from Hera. I don't think that was ever the plan, but after Hera's start, I think they decided, okay, Hera, look, you just wall up and start slinging. And I'm glad to see Aftermath doing that, because I think they've been afraid of slinging before, and now they're sort of utilizing it and taking advantage of it. But Hart coming in from behind, this could be a really, really good fight if Hart can close in on those crossbows. If they can start to reduce the numbers now of knights before Goku gets Cavalier, that would be huge. But Goku instead just running away, leaving Ryut to die. But it might be the right decision because Cavalier is just around the corner and he wants to keep those knights alive at all costs.
Yeah, I believe that was the right decision. Then again, though, Ryut is severely hurt with that one. He has one of the weakest economies now in this game, and also not the highest military numbers anymore due to the loss of his crossbows and that concern. So of course he's not going to play a huge role in the next few minutes of the game. I guess that's how it's going to be. We'll see how Goku is trying to compensate the very situation with his Cavaliers. At the moment, he needs to keep AM where they are, but that's easier said than done.
Absolutely. I like that Hart is going for a mix of camels and going for the Cavalier as well. I think this is good because obviously although Goku has got Cavalier now, because he's outnumbered and there's camels in the mix, he might be a little bit more cautious about taking a fight. He's going to turn and take the fight anyway, but I've no doubt that he's going to lose that if he commits to fighting there. And at this point, he's just going to back up, wait for Fire to get up to him as well before starting to take a real engagement here. So really well played by Aftermath. They've managed to stabilize a little bit. They're utilizing the sling from Hera now to get Hart off to into a very, very good position. And I like the fact that they're slinging the Berbers here because you get to do both Knights, Cavalier, and Heavy Camel. So he's got a little bit more of a versatile mix of units. And at the moment, we've also got Arbalest coming in for Ryut, which is very nice, and Lyri as well. So things are looking fairly even between the two Chinese players at the moment.
Yeah, they do look even though I thought Lyri is definitely doing better when it comes to the economy. Just villager-wise, it's so strong. But you're right. Still, it looks fairly similar, the tendencies. Arbalest is a good addition to take down potential siege that is approaching, and also, the mounted units evidently are not able to come close to the walls. What is required now is that Lyri traps down the walls or even the castle going up for Ryut. That is done to protect himself. It's gonna be tough for Ryut though because he's alone there and facing multiple opponents at the same time. Well, in the middle of the map, I'm trying to estimate the situation, and Biela is also trying to focus, but not on Ryut, but probably on someone else. So I like the fact that AM with the idea of attacking more opponents at the same time, at least in theory.
Yeah, I like AM here. I think they're looking good. I mean, you're going to have the Frank Paladins fairly soon. You're going to have Berber Camels, and you're going to have Chinese Arbalest / Chukonu later on. It's a really, really powerful combination. And although your Mongol player might not be adding anything to the fight, neither is the other Mongol player. Both of them kind of sidelined at the moment. But Goku has Paladin. This could be their time to push now. Obviously, there's a castle here from Lyri, so they do need to get some siege out quickly. But I see Onager at the back from Ryut. Ryut does not have siege engineers, but if he can get a good shot in here, that would be great. The Arbalest from Lyri trying to back up right now, as the Arbalest from Ryut are firing the whole time. This could be a really good engagement for them. MBL's coming over, but Cavalier is not completed yet. Fire's completing Heavy Camel, but there's so few camels left. And in the end, it looks like Hart is going to be able to push this back with those Heavy Camels of his own. Really nicely done, but in comes some more engagement from Goku. Some more reinforcements from Goku now. Amazingly, all of the Onagers are still alive, and with the sheer number of Onagers here, they've got to be very, very careful pushing into this now, have Aftermath, as obviously BZK could land some very big shots and flatten all of those Arbalest if they get too close.
Yeah, the developments were really good here for BZK. The timing, I think Goku just stepping in there with another set of Paladins, really important to keep the Onagers and the Arbalest safe, so to speak. Even though the Onagers are now going down due to the traps and the castle, a reason for Ryut to back off a tiny bit there, but they're trying their best to hold the line, even though I see more and more Aftermath units here. Will be tough. What they need, BZK, is more reinforcements now. Obviously, Fire is there, Goku's there, but Riot is the only one holding on at this point. We'll
Wow.
see.
Big mistake losing all of those onagers there as well. The castle taking down quite a few, and it looks like we're going to see the retreat from BZK. Aftermath taking the score lead for the first time in quite a while this game,
Right.
and they've done a really good job to take that engagement. It looked like BZK were going to run them over, but then they held up against the castle, and obviously with Riot being the only one left alive for a while there, they couldn't just run the Arbalest into the castle. There is a trap at the back. If they can take the castle down, that would be huge. And right now, we've got a real good mix of units in here, but I think the pikes from MBL could be doing a significant amount of extra damage for Aftermath, but sheer numbers working quite well for BZK at the moment. Reinforcements coming in though, and it looks like it's fairly even for the time being. Good trades either way, but Leary here with so many trebs will be able to take down the trebuchet of Riot, and more reinforcements coming over from MBL means the Aftermath will push this back.
Yeah, most likely. I like the trade with the pikemen, even though they're just pikemen and facing paladins. It doesn't seem that the Arbals are doing such a great work taking these units down. There are not too many Arbals to begin with.
Wow.
And you're right, the trebuchets of Lyria are doing quite some good job. Should try to take down the castle. And yeah, Aftermath just holds the ground way better, way more effectively. Reason for BZK now to step back once again, trying to reinforce, come back, but at the same time MBL is there once again with a new load of Cavaliers. Looking quite interesting. I think I like the situation for Aftermath still a bit more.
Yeah, definitely, and with that win right there, the game is called, and oh boy, what a fight! That was it. That was the whole game right there. Right there. That was the deciding fight, and it was a big fight as well. I think they also called GG because Miguel was being raided by some Cavalier on the right side, losing quite a bit of his base there. And all in all, I think that was a very even engagement. But I think that BZK were fighting under that castle a lot more than Aftermath were fighting under the castle of Riot. And it's really hard to say other than that because there's so many different units coming in. Very hard to gauge who has the numbers advantage or who has the better counter units in the engagement. But it was really nice to see that engagement there lasting for so long, and then in the end actually deciding the entire game. So well played to Aftermath. BZK threw absolutely everything into that, and they couldn't break the line of Aftermath, meaning that in the end, it was an Aftermath victory, and they take the game 1-0 so far. Well
played for sure. Really like this game.
Yeah, absolutely. As the chat is also saying, throwing away the onagers was quite costly. I can understand why they had the onagers out there. He was trying to get the money shot, trying to hit Leary, but in the end he ended up getting too close to the castle, and Riot sacrificed all the onagers for nothing. It might have been better to save the onagers, and now you see where Leary is. He's quite far in front of his castle. Imagine if the onagers had moved into the fight now. Leary is out of position of the castle, and the onagers could have done some big damage, but as it stands, he brought the onagers forward, and obviously without any siege to take down the castle just picked them all off.
Yeah, it was wonderfully done by Aftermath, and yeah, it was really expensive. Losing Augers is always a bad trade like this, especially for pretty much nothing. You said he was looking for the money shots, but not like this. I also like the position of Leary's castle in all of this, way better than the one of Riot, for instance. The castle of Leary just had way more of an impact throughout this whole fight. We see a lot of dead paladins of Goku, for instance. I assume that the Bracer castle the Bracer castle basically played a huge role with that one, taking down a lot of additional units. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely, and well played to Hero in the end as well. So he actually slung more than Miguel, even after getting such a bad beating in the early game. You got to feel bad for him a little bit because his map was so open. He just got raided by 3 different players. He lost a lot of villagers, but he managed to wall up and end up slinging more than Miguel in the end. So well played to him for that. And of course, Leary with the 164 kills and 68 deaths, really just a tribute to the fact that he controlled his army so well. Typically your ranged units they are doing damage from the back, but
Right.
they are often being tanked by a lot of bigger, heavier units in the front. However, if you keep them alive for a long time, you will get a lot of kills. The problem that a lot of players seem to have is they overextend with their archers, or they get caught out of position. But Leary was kept his archers in the perfect position to maximize the damage for as long as possible, and that's why he got so many kills and so few deaths in the end. So well played to Aftermath. They do get their first game, and we will be continuing this series with game number 2 on Twin Puddles, a map which we haven't seen yet today.
Yep, true indeed. I've just loaded it, and I'm ready when you are.
Okay, I'm going to load it now. I have to relaunch the game.
Right. Yeah, Twin Puddles is definitely going to be interesting. We have the little aspect of water, so to speak, going to play a huge role because there are just 2 of these puddles, as the name reveals. So it's going to be the question, who is going to get his hands on the puddles, the water? Is there some map generation which it is clear or not? And yeah, will there be some contests? We'll see.
Yeah, all right. In 3, 2, 1, go.
There we are.
And here we go. Twin Puddles is game number 2, and personally I am a big fan of this map. I'm disappointed we've not seen more of it so far, because I think this is a fantastic map. As the name suggests, like you said, there are 2 puddles, and they contain a lot of fish, and it's worth fighting for those fish. Now, obviously, it can depend on map generation as to where the puddles spawn, if they spawn on the flanks or in the pockets, and it seems like in this game, both of the puddles have spawned in the pockets. We have 1 puddle behind Aftermath and 1 puddle behind BZK.
Yeah, that's of course a safer game, so to speak. There's a more of a little chance that some sneaky stuff will happen. Probably not. Therefore, they can use the water for themselves, and then we can just see some boosted economies on both sides. At least ideally speaking, I don't think that there will be some contest concerning the water, but you never know. Maybe they want to go for it. We'll find out eventually.
All right, so let's start by introducing the teams and the players. On the northwest, we have Hira, and he's playing as the Malians on the flank. Once again, he is the flank. In the pocket, again, his pocket, it's MBL. And, oh, Riot going to run straight into that TC. Reactions to get out of there, takes quite a bit of damage, so that will prevent him from stealing a bomb, perhaps, which is probably his intention of being out here so early. But that's MBL playing as the Japanese. Clear then that MBL is planning to fish this game. Hart in the pocket, playing as the Huns in the blue. And then on the right flank, it's Leary in the green, playing as the Celts.
Exactly. I'm gonna just continue with Fire as the right-hand side flank of the BZK team with the Japanese. His pocket is going to be Miguel with the Huns. That's something I like to see. Miguel Huns pockets. That brings back memories. Then his other pocket is going to be Riot with the Malians. And then we got Goku on the very left-hand side with the Malians.
All right, so similar civs here. We have got Mayans on... Wait, hold on a second. We have Japanese, Huns, and Malians on both teams. And then we have Aftermath with the Celts and BZK with the Mayans on this one.
Exactly. Just looking how this is going to play out. I mean, I like the fact that we got balance in this game, for sure. Such a versatile civilization. When it comes to the cast stage, I see them as one of the strongest, so to speak, for many reasons. And we got them both on the same side. This is going to be some interesting stuff. Also, the opening is going to be interesting. How are they going to open up the game? How far will they use the water? But we'll see in a few seconds and minutes. It is going to happen.
I'll tell you how they're going to open the game. Hero's going to steal Goku's boar, and then he's going to kill Goku's scout when Goku decides to stop his scout next to Hira's TC. That's a poor start for Goku. After such a strong game last game, Hira with an extra boar and killing his scout, that's a strong start for him. But I wanted to just check who was docking here, because obviously, you can... There's a bit of strategy involved in terms of who utilizes the puddle. Do you have 3 players dock the Puddle? Do all 4 players dock the Puddle? Do just 2 players dock the Puddle? You know, if you're the right flank here and you're Fire with 3 boar, actually, because he stole a boar from Leary, which is meaning that they're even in all, and you're the Japanese, and really you'd quite like to do a bit of a fish boom, but you're so far away from the pond, do you just sacrifice that and let your teammates get it? It looks like that could be the case, even. So there's a lot of strategy involved in who goes for the Puddle, and whether or not it's worth to sacrifice a player taking the water or not.
It's going to be a question for sure. Just looking how the things are developing, it's quite of a calm start. We have the slaming, that's not calm at all, but then also some walling happening on the left-hand side for sure. There's no intention of some early aggression. It seems that again, though, I see Hera is preparing his, what's this, Merit Arms. It's not going to be a rush, but Merit Arms, 2 voters on gold. So he has the intentions to break through. Then again, though, Goku is about to wall himself up completely to the front. The sides are open though, there is some chance for Hera to go through. On the right hand side, once again, looking how the things are developing with Fire, a little bit of a wall at 4 villages on gold already, interestingly, and with his militias. Seems like he wants to go for... What does he actually do? Let me just check this on. This is going to be a fast castle from him by the looks of it. We'll determine this in a second. And then Larry, last but not least, currently being harassed like this. Interesting to see how this is going to work out for him.
Yeah, so in this position, I think with MBL walling like this, it seems like he wants to do a bit of a fish boom and then sling. Could be an option at this point. It's not for certain at the moment. He could also just fast castle, and that's why he's walling up like this. But it could be good to consider that kind of play. I guess the question is then, who does he sling? It's not like they have a Mayan player on their team. He could sling the Huns, for example, and get them up to Imp and do a lot of Cavalier and Paladin production. But all in all, we'll have to wait and see what he goes for there, because it could be either. Right now, though, he's one of the last players to click up to the Feudal Age, and he's got full wall up in that corner of the map. The first player up to Feudal will actually be, I think it was either Hero or Heart. Hero's pushing through with the Man-at-Arms now to try and get through these walls, but Goku was very quick to wall that off. Unfortunately for him, Man-at-Arms now have +2 attack versus buildings, so that wall immediately got destroyed, and looks like Hero's in.
Yeah, looks like he's in. I like Malian's Man-at-Arms actually, because they're tankier than you would expect due to the additional PS armor that they get. Becomes extremely relevant when you approach the TC. But now something else is going to happen because of the routes that Hera has chosen. He's kind of coming from the back, so to speak, and is about to harass the villagers busy on the deer.
Yeah, he could get over there. Obviously, only 2 deer taken so far, so he could completely disrupt that. And he can even come down south to hit Riot later on as well if he wants to. Now, fishing ship numbers, looks like we've got basically the same number of fish on both teams. Miguel has 1 additional fish at the moment. And now I'm interested to see what MBL does next. He hits the Feudal Age, and he goes for a market. So it looks like a full sling from MBL here, even with double layer palisades. The question is then, who does he sling? Does he sling the Malians, the Celts, or the Huns? I think he could go for the Huns and go for, like I said before, the full sort of stable production. We'll have to wait and see, but it looks like this could be a really strong strat for them. Riot as well, going up to the Feudal Age a little later, but he's actually doing a market blacksmith as the Mayans. He will go straight up to castle and make some plumed archers.
Yeah, that's pretty much the idea. I think giving your resources to the Huns player in this case makes sense a lot. Hart would profit from this one. As you said, it would make things really smooth for him, and then his castle age would be quite intensive, so to speak. We'll have to just wait until MBL goes for the slinging. But this is how it is. Also, Hart with the intentions of creating the damage with his scouts, and he's at it.
He's found Miguel and Fire over here. They're sort of holding the hill outside of Fire's base. Fire with a nice tower, actually, onto the gold of Lyri, but Lyri has got 2 golds, so unfortunately for Lyri, they're both kind of forward, but at least he can gather from 1 for now. And yeah, so MBL is slinging Heart, and Heart is clicked up to the Castle Age. He is not faster than Riot, since Riot is the Mayans. He's going to be pretty quick. But I think that if Heart can pump out a lot of Knights, then those Plumed Archers aren't really going to be too much of a problem anyway. And then I question whether or not anyone will actually sling to Riot here, as at the moment it looks like all of the BZK players are making military or investing in some kind of military tech.
I'm asking myself how well this is going to go. If you go for military, obviously you need to use the military. You need to go for the kills. Riot, as it says, it's going to be some kind of attempt to go for the next stage as soon as possible. He definitely intends to build the castle as he has villagers on stone. Pretty evident with the Mayans. But like I've said, it's going to be tough for him to function as a pocket just with plumes. He needs to reach this critical amounts, then he needs to go for the right spots, and so on. It's going to be more complicated rather than just going for knights, for instance. We'll see how this is going to develop. I'm also curious about Larry's situation here currently, who is trying to hold on. Because, yeah, under some severe harassment here. Then again, though, towers will be the solution for his problems, to protect himself at least.
Yeah, so I can tell you now, this is going to be really, really cool, because Goku is slinging to Riot, and MBL is slinging to Heart. However, it gets interesting because of the fish, right? You've got Japanese fishing ships, and you've got a lot of food income. And that means that Heart will be making a lot of knights. Now, of course, Riot can make a castle and start making plumed archers with his sling, but he's going to be overwhelmed, I think. He's only going to have one castle. He's going to be producing plumed archers one at a time. And meanwhile, Heart will have 3 stables, and he'll be going up to 3 TCs, and he'll be non-stop making knights this whole time. Not only that, but you've got a lot of additional food from the lake with the Japanese fish as well. And the other side, BZK, Fire, the Japanese player, isn't even on the water. And yeah, they're just slinging over to the Mayan player, who's going for plumes, of course. So I think that AM should come out on top here. Obviously, that's not a given, but I think it's a strong position for them right now.
I fully agree. That's actually quite spot on. The fact that you can go for 3 TCs and also 3 stables due to the unbelievable food donations that you get because of the Japanese fish, it's quite of a sick one, because yeah, the output simply, just in comparison to the castle that you have with the Mayans, just one single castle, well, you need probably just 3 castles, and even then, we have to keep in mind, Huns have the faster working stables to begin with. There's got to be some output, and if this continues like this, after, of course, Hart stabilizes the situation inside of his own base, where he's facing Miguel currently, it's got to be quite of a tough one for sure. We'll see. We'll get there.
Yeah, well, Hart just killed most of Fire's army as well. He's up to 18 kills and 8 deaths after killing most of Fire's archers. And the plumed archers now from Riot are out. Now, the key difference here, of course, is that all of that excess food that goes to Riot is going to be used to go up to the Imperial Age. Whereas all of that excess food for Hart will be used to make villagers and knights. However, with the sheer number of knights that Hart will be able to produce, I think he's going to be okay. However, Riot could also start throwing down some more barracks, and he could, or start throwing down some barracks, and he could start to consider going into some, I don't know, you could even go for some eagles or some halbs. But in the end, Riot's going to be up to the Imperial Age very, very quickly, and right now he still only has 1 castle, and he is doing the barracks. So I think this is really important, because right now it's about numbers and speed, not necessarily just about the unit composition.
Yeah, speed. That's really a key factor here. How do you want to reach it? With the Eagles, it's best established, of course, but then again, how well are Eagles going to do if you're facing the Knights spot on, right on, 1v1? It's going to be terrible. You need to utilize the Eagles in order to go for the raiding. If you see some range units, take them also, but there's no sign of this one. I think all in all, I understand the philosophy of Riot. He tries to make the best out of the situation, but it seems so much better for Hart, who's currently now going out here and tries to get a couple of kills in the enemy bases. And I see him approaching towards Fire's base.
Yeah, Fire is having a hard one in this. 36 Vils, though, isn't too bad. The only problem is he has no fish either, so it's 36 Vils and no fish. And his teammates who have 34 Vils have, you know, some fishing ships as well. So he's certainly behind in eco at the moment, and he's still in the feudal age as well, which hurts. You know, I don't know if he's actually started to sling now, but I don't think so, given that he made so many archers earlier on. He's just been caught out of position and been left in the dust by these faster players receiving the sling. We have got knights coming through from Miguel. We've got the plumed archers from Riot coming through, and we've got the elite eagle warriors coming up as well. Riot needs numbers. He needs them fast, and he needs them now. So we're going to see now if those eagles can have the impact that they need to make. Obviously, Heart going up to the Imperial Age as well. It is going to be slower than Riot. And maybe Riot here needs to perhaps try and ignore these knights and maybe try and raid Hera or raid MBL or find some other hole in the wall to utilize these eagles to get raiding.
Exactly, it's way more difficult, the scenarios to create with the eagles to make them actually function properly the way they're designed to be used, so to speak. Of course, I would agree that if you have a nice number of eagles, then after some time it will not be a good fight with the knights. Then again, though, Hart is going for the next stage, as I said, and this will have an impact on his knights in a positive way, tech-wise. And then again, it could be quite difficult for the Eagle Warriors to take on the fight. Currently, the Eagle Warriors with +4. That's good for them.
Eldorado coming in.
I was going to say Eldorado will be more impactful with 100 HP then. It will be more tankier. Hard best advice not to engage just like this. But against just a couple of eagles, it will be fine, I guess.
Yeah, but he's also doing a good job of picking off the crossbow. Hera did send some crossbow over, and, well, they're going to die very quickly at this rate to Riot's 8 pierce armor, 100 HP Eagle Warriors. Looks like he'll try and back up towards the safety of Lyri's base. The Eagles are flooding in, but he's going to need a few more, and of course Imperial Age is about to be done, which means that the Hun player can start upgrading Cavalier, and of course that Cavalier upgrade will go a little bit faster as well due to the Hun stable bonus. So Hart will be clicking that in just a second, and it looks like Riot needs to just try and get the numbers up. He's 27 military at the moment versus Hart's 24, my bad, and he's just got to keep pumping those units out, sending some pikemen over as well soon. He's just doing that tech now.
I mean, why not? If you can utilize them, that's good. I like the fact, like you've described, what the Eagles did, focusing on siege and the crossbows. That was the main important thing. Don't bother too much with the knights, because the best way utilizing those Eagles currently was what he has done. Now he's even searching for a gap, most likely, just trying to spot something where he could go through and kill a couple of villagers, ideally, harm economies. But we'll see. At least he has the help of Miguel, who's also there trying his best. Not so sure how this is developing. The numbers look really good for BZK. Aftermath still holds the ground. There's no lethal raiding happening currently.
Not yet, but if those Eagles do make it through, then the raiding could be a real problem. You know, 5 or 6 Eagles in your base, and you've just got to put everything idle. MBL, I mean, he's walled himself out of his teammates even, just to give himself as much time to re-wall as possible, as much of a notification as possible if any raiding attempt does happen. So Rhea at the moment doing a good job, I've got to say, however, taking down a lot of Heart's units and regaining a little bit of map control. Lyri on the right side, defending for now, hasn't really been able to push out yet, but the Imperial Age is on the way for him, and that means that we're going to start to see the Celts coming into their own. We actually haven't seen much of the Celts this entire tournament, which is... I don't know, I like the Celts. They're just not always the best civ, right? And in this case, it's an interesting choice because I'm not actually 100% sure why they've gone for Celts here. I'd like to see some Woad Raiders coming out because I think that's a pretty solid choice against the Eagles right now, and it seems to work pretty nicely in this situation at least.
Yeah, I think Celts have their usage. They're definitely not top tier, but I like them as well. They're faster infantry. In the long run, it's 5% faster if you just keep in mind that the enemy can go for squires and so on. But I guess against the mains, it could be quite interesting for sure. The Woads, why not? I'm currently checking what Lyri actually has. I mean, he's going for Imperial Age. and he attempts to go for a castle. There we go. Now he's building it. There's the idea. Question is he going to be there in time? By the looks of it, just yeah, because like I said, no lethal raiding happening currently. So as long as this doesn't happen, he still has the chances to go for some kind of maximization of the Kel's strength in the late game. We have to wait.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get some siege out as well, of course, if we see Riot switching into plumes later on, or if we see, I don't know, any of the... Well, they don't really have many archer civs, actually. I mean, the Japanese could go for Arbalest, for example, but I think typically they're probably try and avoid it here. We'll see, but all in all, that's going to be a long way away since Fire is still in the feudal age slinging, so we don't have to worry about the Japanese player for now. It looks like they are trying to make that play onto MBL, who is also still feudal, walling up with gates as fast as he can to try and keep the BZK armies out. And Paladin, what happened to Paladin? Did the stable that Paladin was being researched in get destroyed? I believe it did not, because I can see it here at 98%. It just disappeared off of my my tech overlay. So I was like, where did it go? Why is it not completed? But there it is. Paladin is done. And Heart is just completing Blast Furnace now. But BZK, they're in. They've breached the wall. MBL could not buy himself enough time. And that is devastating for the Aftermath team.
Yeah, that's for sure. This is devastating for sure. Like I've said, this must be prevented at all times. But if it happens, then you are kind of in a really deadly situation. How do you want to deal with these Eagles now? Your TCs will not do it. MBL's TCs, for instance, they don't even have fletching. The Eagles will just once again have a smirk on their face when being hit by the arrows, and that's all. They will be just working so efficiently. The villagers are going down step by step. There's still a help that MBL currently receives. The Army of Heart is on the way, but the damage has been done. Therefore, that is quite unhealthy for MBL for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the Paladins are here to try and clean things up, but MBL lost a lot right there. He still has 49 vills, so it's not so bad. And, obviously it could have been worse. Fortunately, Heart's able to send enough Paladins over to try and clean this up. But, oh boy, that's a bit of a dangerous position if you're MBL to get caught out like that. It looks like Leary's running over with some Woad Raiders now as well. I like that. Plus 4 defense done. Nice fast unit to try and get out across the map. But look at BZK. They're going quite forward with their walls, trying to claim as much map as possible. And I like that. I think that's a really smart play from them. Give them lots and lots of time to react to any raids that are coming in.
Yeah, I think so as well. Just give yourself time and also demotivate your opponents. Maybe they attempt to go for the raids. Just now they calculate it in a way, okay, I need to be there in a minute or so. Then they see just walls. This is of course really bad for them. Therefore I like it as well. Save the grounds, gain some control. Just keep on doing this. Then again though, Hart tries his best to actually protect his teammate there quite successfully at this point, because Riot is now outside of the base once again. Question of course is for how long and how much damage has been done. BZK, in my opinion, does more in terms of Aftermath just being too reactive at this point. Little raiding that we see. Hard with the intentions to go for it though, to the right hand side of the map. Now attempting to do something here.
Yeah, and I'm watching Hart just get beaten up by Riot's Elite Eagles there. I mean, although, yes, the Paladin is much stronger pound for pound, the sheer numbers that Riot has here, it's a huge army. And not only that, but Hart had his army split up as well. Not only that, now Miguel's coming in with some Cavalier. Paladin's on the way for him. Everybody is inside of MBL's base. I don't know, maybe they all got the invitation to have a party. But MBL sure as hell would just like to go to bed and shut this party down right now. But at the moment, it looks like Hart and Leary should be able to clean this up. They should have the defender's advantage. They should have the stronger units. But again, the numbers of Elite Eagles getting in here, it's huge. So many.
I mean, huge for sure. The numbers, he had something about 80. Of course, now the numbers are going down due to the engagements, but Now is the time to say, alright, Eagles might lose in a 1v1 or something like this, but now with Eldorado, they're way tankier, and this is getting a bad fight for the Paladin player because more resources are lost in the long run. So I like this engagement of Riot actually. He is certainly quite amazing how he has actually stepped away from plumes or anything like this, just go for Eagles straight, and quite impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, and we got the Paladins now being cleaned up at the back from Miguel, and the Eagles have been pushed away as well for now. Obviously, the Elite Road Raiders pretty effective versus the Eagles due to their speed and also their strength. But yeah, the Eagles pushed back. We've also got Hira on, I think I saw some Gabeto from him. Yeah, he's got a couple of Gabeto out. Gabeto would be really good here, actually. But at the moment, he hasn't got too many of them since he's at 153 villagers. And it seems like the sling was in full force from him. Right, the game has dropped there. We're going to load up part 2.
All right.
And let me know when you're ready.
Just a second. Now I'm ready.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Yeah, so continuing on, we do have some Gabeto out for Hira, and I think Hira needs to start making a bit more military soon because obviously he has overboomed at this point, and obviously he will be slinging a bit more, but maybe he could sling some to MBL so that MBL can go castle and start to boom up a bit more himself. I don't know, maybe that could work.
It could work. We have to wait just a little bit more because currently it's not really obvious who is having the better time. The Cupidos, as you said, they have the potential to become quite a strong force when it comes to raiding the trade and so on, because they're so easy to be controlled. I see a lot of possibilities for that one, but like I've said, the numbers and also the text, they are not there simply. So I guess we have to wait for this one for a longer period of time. Then the question is, what is going to happen in this longer period of time? Both sides are maximizing the numbers currently. We see a lot of Paladins. Now this engagement is about to happen here. On the right, we see Heart's army of Paladins. On the left-hand side, we see Miguel and, of course, the Eagles of Riots. And also a couple of Wolds are participating, but I don't see too many Wolds of Lyri. This is maybe a bit, let's say, not enough, actually. The engagement is better for PZK.
Lyri has a few units, but they're very spread out, and they're kind of mixed as well. He's still got some crossbow left, and it looks like Miguel and Riot are just going to run them over here at the moment. Sheer numbers working out for them. Where is Lyri's army? I mean, I know he has a few units in here, but he has 50 military in total. Are they just like, yeah, they're coming over from the left side. They're reinforcing from the right. I guess visibly as well, Lyri's units are smaller. You know, like, Paladins take up a lot of space on the screen, so they look like there's more. And then, you know, you've got this army of Woad Raiders, which take up very little space, but actually, you know, there's a lot of them there. But still, Miguel and Riot looks like they've got the upper hand in this engagement right now. They just got to keep throwing everything they've got into this if they want to push it all the way back. But with the hill coming up on, the castle coming up on the hill, they do want to be a bit careful pushing into there, because if you remember last game, they did take a fight under a castle, and it cost them quite heavily.
Yeah, it cost them quite heavily for sure. Lyri's excellent castle position there. We'll see how it's going to be in this case. I like it that Miguel is not stopping yet. He found out that, okay, this engagement was good, but I need to continue here. Don't give your opponents too much time to strike back, so to speak. But this is quite of a confident move here, because the numbers of Heart currently look better in this engagement between the Paladins here. Comparing the Paladins, they are quite identical here, obviously being Huns here. So reason for Miguel to retreat at this point, but then again, I think there's more happening, positively happening, together with the help of Riot, because I see the Eagles working better than what Lyri is offering. Because there are votes, we must not underestimate, but just a couple of halberdiers mixed in like this, they must be used properly, and that is against the Paladins, but that's hard to be established like this.
Yeah, that's true. I think, you know, if you're going to add Woad Raiders, I think you need to make more and more Woad Raiders in this position. And when you start adding Halbs, although, yes, they have the attack bonus versus the Paladins, they die to the Eagles super quick. So the overall health pool, and I guess, you know, you can say the Eagle Warrior is a much more population-efficient unit. Looks like they're actually overrunning the Aftermath team on this right-hand side. Meanwhile, on the left, things are very quiet still. I'm looking out to see if there's anything else going on, but it looks like everything is focused on these 4 players right now. You know, Fire and Goku seem to be on the sidelines, as do MBL and Hera.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. From Hera, we didn't see anything. Just the Gabitos, and they didn't make a major appearance here. So that's one thing. And it's all about the right-hand side. Asking myself where this is going. I mean, obviously the right-hand side, but what are they aiming for? They're currently now trying to get down the castle of Lyri, so more and more ground will be lost.
Yeah, it's working as well. Look at all those Paladins, man. They're tearing that castle down. And we've even got some plumed archers coming in from Riot now, which I think it's reasonable to mix these in, because obviously Lyri is going full infantry, so, you know, some plumes at the back could always do some extra damage. And yeah, I'm looking at the military map, and I see some Gabeto raiding on the left side. They're going to get cleaned up by plumes, and still just the focus on the right as they try and regain the ground in front of Fire's base here. Fire's still feudal, still slinging. MBL up to castle now, and we'll start to reboom a little bit and maybe start to think about joining the fight at some point as well.
Yeah, it would be nice, but just with 44 villages, you can expect that his economy is not there yet. What he needs is, of course, a lot of time. Question, as usual, is do we have that much time from his perspective? We'll have to see, because Hart is trying to protect himself, gets up the castle, and just to make sure that he has some kind of control in front of his base. But still, the army of Miguel, once again, I see the castle of Hart, this time the one of Hart, not of Lyri, going down because of the Paladins. It just doesn't look too healthy for Aftermath at this point.
Beautiful heavy Scorpions from Lyri, though. He does need to improve his KD somehow, and the heavy Scorpion could be one way of doing that, especially if his enemies like to sort of get caught up in these little choke points, at least.
Exactly.
Doing a lot of damage with those against the infantry of Riot. Right now, though, looks like Hart is pushing out a little bit more with those Paladins. We'll take out the Trebuchet for now, as the castle goes down to 600 HP. Hart's going to get on the repairs there, but there's another Trebuchet on the left side, so I think that castle will eventually go down, as Lyri just isn't bringing enough to the table. You know, I said earlier on, why Celts? I think it's an interesting civilization choice. Throwing a lot of units away to the meat grinder here, but you know, they can add quite a lot with their siege in the late game. At the moment, the heavy Scorpions aren't doing too badly, but it's difficult to just make Halbs and throw them away, and make more Halbs and throw them away. They need to be able to fight together with the Paladins if they want to have the best effect.
Yeah, fully agreed. The problem is then, if you have a Mesosiv opponent, he's going to go up with his Eagles. Okay, they are infantry, they get the damage by the Scorpions, but if you just mess them up, eventually I see the Scorpions crumbling. What you need, as you also said, is those choke points. Then they function really well in this case. But for that one, you need the choke points, and in this case, we just see choke points defensively. And offensively, I see little opportunities for these Scorpions to work, because there's a lot of openness towards the middle. A lot of reasons for these Paladins and Plumes, in this case, to shine. Looking forward to seeing how Riot is gonna make use of his plumes even further, because he seems quite confident there. Another engagement between those two sides is going to happen very soon.
Yeah, well, one thing's for sure right now, and that is that the center of the map is under control of BZK. They're building forward castles right outside of MBL and Hart's base. You know, they're spreading out across the middle of the map with castles. They're looking pretty strong there. And I'm expecting Fire to start joining the fight fairly soon. He's just hit the castle age now. Hira as well, I think, is he still slinging? It looks like he's deleting villagers right now. He had 150 vills before. He's down to 128 now. I don't know if that's just so he can make more space for trade cards, or if he's actually looking to join the fight with some military anytime soon. But meanwhile, you've got an attack from Riot onto the walls of MBL once again, and it looks like these guys are trying to break through and raid for another time.
Um, Always the question if this is the right choice to break through exactly there. I think so, because yeah, they will have their hands on the trade route, at least if it's successful. We'll see. It also seems that Miguel wants to join the party now because they are aware of the fact that the Rams are eventually taking down those walls. Once that happens, we're talking about, what is this, 30 Paladins or something going to your trades? That would be, of course, quite devastating,
But
obviously.
Heart's coming in from the back, and these guys could end up getting trapped in here. It's unlikely, though, actually, because there is a hole. And in fact, this could work really well for Riot's Plumed Archers if he sort of puts them in a little corner here and uses these choke points. Maybe MBL would be better deleting these walls and gates at some point if these Paladins need to start pushing up this hill. But meanwhile, the Paladins from Miguel going through the back, well walled off by Heart. Very, very quick walls there, delaying him getting into the trade. There's the deletion from MBL, so that allows the Heart to start to surround these plumes. They're going to back away. And this might be an overextension from BZK here. Some quick castles coming up, and the army of Riot going to get surrounded. Of course, the plumed archers are so cheap, but still will take a little while to replenish them, and that's a little bit of a hit to Riot there.
Yeah, that's true indeed. I like the fact that how Hart was successful with his walling and the castles. This is definitely going to give the trades routes a bit more life. Also, we can see that BZK is not successful at all anymore. I mean, in terms of their initial plan to get their hands on the trade. We just see little Paladins surviving this entire combat. Now, I guess, more focused once again towards the middle as Riot tries to push through with Halberdiers and Plumes.
Yeah, and Leary making a play into Fire's base. We have quite a lot of Scorpions and Halbs and a Siege Ram and a couple of Trebs coming forward here and going straight through Miguel and Fire's base. They need to react to this quickly. Obviously, Miguel's seen it. He's got the Paladins there. And they're going to need some more. They're going to need some more if they want to deal with that.
Yeah, that's absolutely dangerous. That's a nice death ball, so to speak. If you keep it together, the Halberdiers must be closely attached to the Scorpions, otherwise they are indeed quite fragile when it comes to the engagements by the Paladins. Once that is given, though, and it seems like if it is given, because there's also Heart now joining the mix, making sure that there are even more bodyguards. I see this Kelt's death ball now working quite well. Once the heavy Scorpions go for the shots, they will create a lot of damage. Obviously, the castles even denied the one of fire. Looks really, really grim for him.
Yeah, that's true, and the push here from Riot's going to be stamped out very quickly as well. The Paladin reinforcements coming in, the castle on the hill from Riot going down, and meanwhile now it's almost like a little bit of a base race. You've got both teams pushing in. They've breached the outer walls. They're going in for the middle. And looks like Heart's going to try and run the Paladins in now. Miguel's going to try and do what he can to slow him down or stop him. But boy, oh boy, that is a lot of heavy Scorpions right there. And they're making their way through. If you get heavy Scorpions into the trade line, that's got to be pretty nasty, actually. I imagine they'll do quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, as the balls are going through the units, additional units will be hit. Therefore, definitely some potential disaster that could rise from that one. But for that one, of course, the Scorpions need to go there. Currently, Miguel Zien is determined to stop this one from happening. The Scorpions are now going down step by step. This is, of course, unfortunate. Still, I think Leary was quite impressive with that very approach. And he's not done yet because the next troop of this time, Siege Archers, Siege Rams, and Halberdiers is incoming. So it's not going to stop here. I like it.
Oh yeah, they're coming in through again as well. Looks like the Paladins from Miguel, though, are enough to save the day for now. What can't Paladins do, really? I mean, best in class, best all-round unit. The Paladins win. They're so good. I mean, look at how quickly they kill all that siege. As soon as the Halbs are gone, it's gone. Everything. And now Leary, he's got this second push coming in, but it's so slow because of how slow the siege moves that these guys can stabilize a bit. Meanwhile, though, Heart did defend with the help of Hira in the north, and meanwhile, other developments. Goku is up to the Imperial Age and will be potentially joining the fight soon. It looks like Hero will also be joining the fight with the Elite Beto upgrade coming in.
Quite well done, actually, by Aftermath to take care of Riot here. because now it's not a race anymore. It seems that Aftermath now with a huge momentum, even though there are a couple of Eagles inside of the base of Heart trying to go for a couple of kills, and with the help of Miguel, something could happen from that one, especially thinking of the trade route there. We'll see the Paladins are currently moving, comparing to what is happening there inside of the base of BZK. Quite of a slow pace. I feel that BZK could go for some important moves concerning Aftermath's trade route.
Ah, okay. So Fire's going for Long Swordsman right now, and Samurai to try and hit that right side. I see what you mean. There's some Paladins in there as well. The trade did get hit just a little bit. That trade really clumping up actually on this right-hand side. Man, it's so hard to follow a 4v4. There's so much going on all over the place. This has certainly been a very, very close game so far. It still could go either way. It's incredibly close on score still. They're both 16,000 or about 500 points average difference at the moment. So it could still go either way. And things are close. Looks like the Paladins have made it into the back as well. This time the Gabeto are there though. The hero Gabeto doing a lot of damage.
I still think that a lot of trade cards being down like this is some severe damage in comparison. Just looking at the trade numbers, for instance, you can see that Goku, for instance, 73 trade cards. The others also with more than 40. And then in comparison to Aftermath with trade cards, it's not that nice. Now it could be the time for BZK to actually have the upper hand resource-wise. They can utilize more gold for now, at least in theory. This could give them a little bit of an advantage that they could utilize in order to step forward.
Yeah, they definitely didn't lose nearly as many trade cards as the Aftermath team just lost there. That's a significant number of trade card deaths, and that's surely going to give BZK a short-term advantage now in their military production, what they have available to them. I've got to say, Miguel's Paladins, they're just everywhere. They're killing trade, they're pushing Leary back in the middle. Leary's making Halbs, and Miguel's like, well, I can just make Paladins, and I can... Okay, yes, cost-effectively, Halbs will win in cost-effectiveness, but it still one Paladin will still kill a Halb. So because I can afford to lose my Paladins because we have trade, I can just make a more population effective unit and just push you back anyway, which is exactly what just happened there.
Spot on. I would say exactly this, because also in addition to this one, the Halberdiers, they don't function as well as the Paladins. I mean, we've described the Paladins so well, being so much of a complete unit. The Halberdiers, they can function really well in less cases, in less situations. They have a lot of weaknesses, and of course, being just alone, it's going to be tough. And yeah, if you have the upper hand with the trade, you could just afford losing a couple of Paladins, as long as you keep the push up. As long as you can just go forward, you can produce as much as you want to. It will be difficult.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the fact that Goku has these siege onagers on the hill now. I want Leary to run into this. Run into this, Leary. Run into this. Come on. Goku, wake up. Goku, now is your time. This is your time.
Come on.
Oh, he's sleeping. There we go. They're moving. Let's hit. Oh, man. I feel like that could have been so much more spectacular. But he still does a lot of damage right there. You can never... Oh, and he kills a lot of his own units too, but it's okay. Kills are kills, man.
Yeah, true. Kills are kills. Great stuff so far. I'm just trying to analyze the situation concerning the trade here once again. It seems that Hera once again is quite fine with the trade count. I feel that Aftermath tries his best in order to get those numbers up once again, just to make sure that the gap of resources is kind of reduced once again. So that's wonderful work there. They just don't allow themselves to get demotivated. I like it.
Yeah, well,
it's another chance for them to just right back.
It's really bad for AM right now because Heart doesn't have many Paladins. Obviously, there's a lack of gold there. If you look at Heart's POV, he's got 49 gold in the bank and 150 population. That means he doesn't have enough trade. That means his team doesn't have enough trade. That means he's now making light cavalry and not paladins. And meanwhile, Miguel has 64 paladins on the field because if you look at Miguel's POV, he's got 500 gold in the bank. He can afford to make them. So I think that trade raid you know, it might not have lost them the game immediately, but it's certainly going to have a knock-on effect, and it's certainly going to impact them over the next 5 minutes while those trade numbers start to come back up. Fire, meanwhile, going up to the Imperial Age now as well, starting to make his push on the right side. That castle there will actually kill a few trade carts as well. So nicely done by BZK. Looks like they firmly have the advantage right now, but that doesn't mean that Aftermath can't push it back, because it's still going to be, I think, quite a back and forth game for a little while.
Yeah, I think so as well. We'll still continue like this. I like the fact that Goku now goes for the onager cut in order to attack from a different angle, but still going for the same aim. That is the trade route. If Fire just steps it up a tiny bit faster, Halberdiers 200 Swordsman, he's going to be able to make a difference here. Maybe annoy more than Aftermath is annoying the others.
Yeah, I see it. That onager cut is lovely, and of course the castle goes up as well, so a few trade carts and villagers will go down. But the fact that these guys are in the trade with some units here, if anything, you know, it's a distraction. It doesn't necessarily have to kill so many trade carts, but the fact that BZK are in the trade and Aftermath are not means that they have to react to this somehow. And, you know, if you had the choice, would you rather be in your enemy's trade or have your enemy in your trade? I know which I would choose every day, even if the trade carts aren't dying. So I think all over the map now they're starting to get a lead. Look at this on the left side. Riot's bust through this wall. He's in there with plumed archers. Trep's taking down the castle from Hera. And Hero's gone Gabeto, cannot fight versus plumed archers here. That doesn't work.
Simply doesn't work. I like the fact that Riot is trying his best with his own kind of projects, trying to annoy as much as possible. He finds even more gaps. He's able to actually go through the trade line, it seems. Doesn't have too many units though, but then again, if he meets up with Miguel, it could be nice for them together. We'll see. Nice attempts by MBL to save the situation. We'll see how it's going to evolve, but it seems that Aftermath now in total defensive stance. Unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, just literally attempts to go forward.
It's pretty much full defense mode for AM right now, and I think this game is over, actually. I don't think they can stabilize from here. There's too much pushing in on the left, and there's paladins in the trade again now. Maybe it's too soon to say that, actually. I think maybe they could stabilize, but I'm worried for Hera. You know, Hera's gonna struggle now to not lose his whole base. You know, they can keep running in, and it's no problem. They can continue to harass him very easily with some plumes and some Eagle Warriors. Meanwhile, Hart, I think, is spread a little bit too thin. He's got 47 military, that's great, but he's spreading them out all over the map to try and deal with these various like raids and things.
Well, speaking of units utilized for raids, Miguel once again going for some insane value on the right-hand side. The Paladins are just killing everything.
Oh, and they're going to kill a lot of traps as well. Oh my.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely not good. So even though you're right by saying maybe it's too soon to call it and so on, it's still quite evident that BZK has the upper hand significantly here. MBL and the others are just trying to defend themselves as much as possible, but no more sign of counter raids. Even Lyri's attempt is stopped now. Fortified walls by Fire. Just make sure that none of this is happening once again. From now on, I see little hope for Aftermath.
Yes, and Lyri, you know, he's got some Woad Raiders and Haubs actually going through the middle. He's looking for the trade there, but there's a lot of Paladins here as well, and of course Miguel has the reinforcement advantage. He can always reinforce this area of the map, and we've said it a few times now, but the Celts just not making use of their population as well as the Huns in the late game. You can see by the KD, Lyri, 630 kills, 950 deaths. And then you compare that to Miguel with 1,000 kills, 500 deaths. That's quite an impressive KD of 2-1 versus Lyri's like 0.7.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's quite revealing there for sure. Gives away the tendencies, how this game is developed so far. And even Fire does great work. Like you've said, it's maybe not game deciding, but it's still annoying and keeping Aftermath busy enough that they have to focus on multiple
He's
sides.
fighting with his villagers. He's
Yeah.
done. I bet he's done sappers, and he's like, I'm gonna tear those markets down one way or the other. And he's only got 92 villagers, which he's villager leading the game after MBL, so he may as well use those villagers for something. I love it. That's one way to take down your enemy's markets, and it looks like he's quite successful there as well.
Yeah, looks really good. Even continues more and more of a push. Little gaps, little space that I see for Aftermath to even go out once again. They're just legit inside of their own base now, and if they're outside, they're just in front of their own walls. And even for Liri now, just a little space that he has that he can work with, because he's mostly now busy on the right hand side as well. The Wolves are trying to clean up the mess that is arise there, but the siege is in danger. Everything is in danger. It's, well, quite bad.
Yeah, it is quite bad indeed. And MBL starting to make some pikes. He's in the castle age. I think he'll probably go imp at some point. Obviously, some big slinging this game. All game. I'm going to be interested to see who slung the most resources, actually. Because we had slinging all game from MBL, so it's likely he's slung the most. But at this point in the game, when all the players on the BZK side are starting to make military and actually contribute to the fight, I think it's time for MBL to start doing the same. Otherwise, they're just going to fall behind in numbers here.
Right. I agree. This is how it is at this point, and I even think that Fire's push now has become way more of a serious threat because he's now inside. He even has a direct impact on the trade now.
Yeah, true.
More than before. So on the right hand side, this is happening.
Japanese helps as well.
Yeah, true. Exactly. Japanese helps.
And champions. And I think that's a really good combo for him, actually. Champions and halbs in here. He can stop Leary and he can fight the paladins as well. He's going to keep building forward barracks. We've got Miguel coming in with some paladins as well. We've got some siege onagers coming over, and BZK are like, right, there's a hole. Let's just go in.
Yeah, this is how it is, and therefore the chances for Aftermath winning this match.
It's slim. It's really slim. And for all those people complaining about spoilers earlier on, what's that about? Hey. So, we got Fire going in pretty deep, and I don't really see a way back for Aftermath right now, honestly. I think... Oh, whoa. There is a bit of raiding in the south. In the west. We actually have some Gabeto getting through from Hera, but I don't know. I'm feeling like BZK have this one won at the moment. They've got so much more control of the map. They've got so much more potential to do damage on this right-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, there's this little raid, but is it going to be game decisive? Just a little bunch of units there in comparison to what is happening in the bigger picture here on all? I don't think so, and I guess ultimately killing the trade of the opponents is going to be the ultimate game decider, that it's not going to work anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess Hira could try and raid the trade again, but I don't know how. I'm not sure how he even got in, actually. Maybe he cut through. No, he didn't. Maybe there's a hole somewhere. Who knows? It's kind of hard to tell at this stage of the game when the whole map is walled up. But they really did control the map so well. And it looks like BZK now, once they get to this next market, I think the GG will be... Oh, well, actually, never mind. They're calling it now. So Aftermath giving the GGs right there. And once again, we are going to be going to game number 3.
Nice.
Boy, that was a long one. 1 hour and 23 minutes. A really hard-fought game. And... it could have gone either way. It really could have gone either way. Aftermath looked so good in the sort of early Imperial, late Castle. BZK did a really good job of holding on, stalling. I think the reason they managed to hold on so well is because Riot decided to go for the Eagles here in this position and not just go all into plumes like you see the Mayan player doing a lot of times. And then from there, like the development of Fire and the development of Goku, just adding that little bit of extra to the push with the siege onagers and with the trade on the right side.
Yeah, I would even add I mean, it would even emphasize Ria's decision. He first wanted to go for Plumes, then he said nope, rather go for Eagles. Then it was a question Eagles versus Knights, then Imp faster, then go for Elite Eagles. Have some good fights by going for the good decisions, not engaging with the Knights in particular, but going for other units and even villagers. A little bit of raiding, a little bit of this, and then in the late game, the first raid of BZK on the trade route created this kind of gap between the resources of AM and BZK,
Yeah.
and from that on, it was always BZK defining the rhythm, and in the end, resulting in the win for BZK. Well done.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I think that bigger trade raid in the middle of the game where Miguel got in and killed a lot of trade with his paladins, that was really the point of the game where it started to go downhill for Aftermath. They had to recover
Right.
from that, and at the same time, that allowed Fire to take that window of opportunity to get up to Imp himself.
Mhm.
And then I also think that Celts as well just didn't have enough. We saw so many times Lyri trying to push through the middle of the map and get to the trade just to be
Mhm.
stopped by paladins, even though he had like 30 halbs. Because although halbs counter paladins, they're not as population efficient, and Miguel just repelled it every single time. The siege is great, but we didn't really see too much impact from the siege either. Simply because there were so many paladins on the map and so many eagles on
Right.
the map. I think the siege just doesn't have as much impact in that kind of situation. And
Yeah.
yeah, all in all, well played to BZK. And we're tied up 1-1 as we go into game number 3.
All right. I'm just gonna join the lobby right away.
Yeah, I'm just going to check the stats real quick here, just to look at those military stats. Um, Miguel, look at that KD, 2-1 KD. His paladins having a
It's
huge
wonderful.
impact in the game, and Hart with a great KD as well. But that's paladins and eagles versus like paladins and halbs, and like we said, we think the the eagles and the plumes just win out in that situation.
Yeah, I think so as well. Just the way they utilize the units, the decisions, the precise decisions. It could have gone the other way if they just decide to go for wrong objectives with the units that they had, even with the possibilities that they had. It could have gone the other way. But fortunately for BZK, they went for the right thing. And I think, of course, Miguel Zin in this case was quite super strong, as we would expect him being Hans Bucket.
Yeah, quite interesting hero with 198 villager high. Why didn't he
Hmm.
get 200 villagers? I'm disappointed. Like, come on, man! You only needed 2 more. What is this? And he didn't actually have the most sling. The most sling was Goku with
Oh,
58,000. I expected MBL to have the most sling, given
yeah,
that
me
he
too.
slung the whole game. And if you look at his KD, he got 18 kills and 207 deaths because he had the largest army of. Wait, where's largest army? Largest army of 20. Didn't really make much military, but wasn't able to sling as much either.
Yeah, maybe
20,000
that
difference.
was maybe not the most ideal situation, right? If you decide to go for that massive sling, then it needs to be worth it. He did his job, but in the end, all in all, the team performance not enough to deal with BZK.
Too right, too right. Okay, so we have one more game to come, and that is
Hmm.
Mount Fuji. It's the last game of the day. I will be right back in 2 minutes' time. We will get our last game going in just a tick.
All right.
Alrighty then. So, one more game to go, and that's going to be Mount Fuji. The first time we're seeing Mount Fuji today, and actually the first time we saw twin Puddles as well, which is nice. But we're going to be getting our next match underway in just a moment here. If Robo's ready to start the game, we can get going.
Exactly.
Alrighty. Man, it's been a long day, actually. Nearly 7 hours of casting here. 7 straight hours of casting. And we are going into our final game of the day. Aftermath versus BZK, the decider to see who will go through to the semi-final to face the winner of the other quarter-final. And now, this is where I test my memory. It wasn't VNA, it was the other team. It's been a long day. But anyway, Demi's red. Save me from this train wreck. Take over.
I'm taking over. No problem at all. This is why I'm here.
It was Suomi, by the way.
All good. I was just waiting a little bit until, I was testing out how long it would take. All good though. So here we are. What's up, everyone? Demi's red here together with Zero Empire, Zach. And we're just going to start with BZK this time. Up in the north, the right-hand side flank, so to speak, is Miguelson with the Franks. Then his pocket is going to be fire and yellow with the Slavs. Then the other pocket is going to be Riyadh with the Indians. And last but not least, Goku with the Portuguese, the flank on the left-hand side.
Yep, and then across from him, we have Leary in the green. He's playing as the Mayans. In the pocket, it's Hart in the blue, playing as the Indians. Second pocket is Hira in the grey, playing as the Portuguese. And lastly, on the right flank, it is MBL playing as the Slavs. So civ-wise, let's see what we've got. Indians on both teams, Slavs on both teams, Portuguese on both teams, and then the difference here being the Mayans and the Franks.
Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting difference there once again. It's a Mesa Civ that's going to be the decider, the one Civ that where you think, okay, this is completely different. Just worth mentioning before we elaborate on that one, Leary has stolen the boar right away. It was the one of Goku, just FYI. Then again, though, still Goku with 2 boars beneath his...
He stole back.
TC. He stole back, right?
Yeah, both of them have low health on their scouts. So Leary steals, Goku steals, and all is right in the world. Balance has been restored.
Wonderful. That's perfect. So, yeah, this is quite of an interesting map. Once again, this is the first that we see it today, Mount Fuji. Definitely the map that I like because it has this upper hill advantage being extremely relevant in my opinion. At least it was the case in the 2v2s that we've seen previously on ECL. What I'm heading at is, of course, you have the elevation towards the middle, and you have a lot of extra resources in them. On the middle, there's stone, and on the elevation, there's a lot of golds, secondary goals, and so on. So, of course, the fight's going to take place potentially over there somewhere. People trying to protect themselves, but the defenders in this case have this kind of disadvantage because they are downhill, so to speak, if they allow the opponents to be up on the hill. That's one phenomenon happening on this map.
Yeah, it's quite nice. I mean, the top of the map is very flat and open. I mean, it's one of the only maps in the pool or in the game where you can actually see like a whole screen of just grass and nothing else and no hills. You know, it's quite nice to look at actually. But then like you say, the hill itself making for some interesting engagements perhaps. And since there's so much gold and stone there, you know, it's worth going for it because it's always better to try and use your gold and stone for as long as possible before going into trade, due to the fact that, of course, it gathers faster and you don't have to invest any resources to immediately get the gold back. So it's nice to have, and we'll see how that gets utilized. It also makes team walling a little harder because of how sort of, the middle of the map will always have the hill bonus attacking downhill. So yeah, we'll see. But right now, it looks like Leary's going for the Drush, 3 militia coming out on the left flank. And then on the top, it looks like MBL is just walling up, and Miguel is happily building up himself, probably to go into scouts.
Yeah, that would make sense with the Franks, why not? Making use of your strong feudal age would be just completely understandable. Riad is the first one clicking up, by the way. He's the pocket, Indian's pocket, so that leads
Ooh.
me to the thought that he's most likely gonna go for the scouts on a single lumber camp that he is currently. When building the barracks with 2 villagers, seems that he wants to join the fight that is about to happen in the earlier stage of the game. Goku indeed with his set of militia attempting to go for the Drush as well as Libby, as you said. And now we're going to have the clash on the left hand side.
Yeah, this is good for Goku actually because the scout of Lyria is not there. It's on the way over now, and both scouts are low on health. If Lyria turns up to the fight with Heart, then this should easily go the way of Aftermath. Of course, Goku's a little bit deep now. He's going to have to back up a little bit. He'll turn around. His scout's out of position. Goku will lose the Drush. I'm almost certain of it. But, well, as long as... Yeah, there you go. There you go. Like I say, Lyria actually keeps nearly all 3 militia alive. Pretty clear victory for him, but neither player is too concerned by that because really the Drush is just an exercise in walling. It's a way to buy yourself some time to get your walls up, and hey, we traded blows. What are my 2 militia going to do now? Not a lot.
Yeah, this is pretty much it. Just buy yourself some time. In this case, it has worked on both sides. That's one thing to point out. On the right-hand side, just looking how it's developing here, MBL is building the stable. He's walled up, as you said, and he's building the stable. It's going to be some nice push from him. At least that's what I'm expecting with the Slavs, of course. They're famous for their good farms and therefore good output when it comes to the scouts and together with the spearmen, the beloved MBL spearmen. On the other side of this very flank, we got Miguel Zin with the Franks, and we said, alright, it's going to be most likely Franks, and this is the case. It's going to be some scout war on the right-hand side if they decide to attack each other. Miguel Zin currently, though, has positioned his scouts in a stranger way on the left-hand side. Maybe he's expecting some attack from there, or he wants to go somewhere completely else. We'll have to wait a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe just trying to think about positioning on the hill so that if anyone comes in, he can come off the hill and have the hill bonus. On the left side, we saw Heart getting a villager kill onto Goku. He's sending his scouts over there now, and Riot sending his scouts out as well. It seems like both teams wanting to get quite aggressive in the feudal age here, which I'm personally quite a fan of. I do like it when our pocket players go for the scout play. And whoa, those 2 militia! I said earlier on, what are we going to do now? Nothing. Well, we're going to delay the berries of Riot a little bit, although they will get cleaned up and the villagers should survive because he's got more than enough HP to handle 2 militia. But there are scouts coming around, and those low HP villagers could now be targeted by the scouts. You never know. Could be picked off later on.
Yeah, I like this. Actually, that was some great value for the remaining militia there. Just creating some idle time, and you said it, some low HP villagers. Now there's more of objectives for Heart if he tries to go for the enemy villagers. Currently now trying to harass the Woodline. Just 3 scouts, though, that he cannot fully use because of the choke point, but now he is doing it. Should retreat, but no, he doesn't, because determined to get this 1 villager, trades 1 scout for a villager. Actually well done by Heart. I like it.
Yep, and he comes in on the right side and picks another villager as well. So it seems like Riot is the punching bag of this game. A little bit of action from everyone coming in over here. And Miguel yet to really use his scouts to good effect. Now, I did just see a bit of sling, actually. Hira is slinging Lyria right now. Interesting decision. Obviously, it's sling the mines, so... It's a bit of a no-brainer, I suppose. Miguel going to be coming over with his scouts, yet to find anything, though. And I don't know about you, my game's going quite quickly. What time are you at right now?
I'm at 14:48.
Okay, I'm at trying to slow things down a little bit.
No, I'm at 15 now.
Okay, I'm at 15:10. All right, cool. We're fine. We're fine. I forgot we were watching a group spectate, and I was like, why is my game speeding up? But yeah, looks like we're going to see Riot losing yet another villager on these berries. This is really good for Aftermath. They keep coming back here, and they keep finding some damage. So if this carries on, Riot will have no villagers left, because he's losing them pretty quickly.
Yeah, so many villagers just being harassed. I mean, just in a few seconds, you're right. It could be just 0 villagers left for him.
Even MBL's coming over.
Yeah, I was going to say, even MBL is now coming over. It's quite some pressure here. Even enough to take down the spearmen. So potentially more and more villagers are in danger. That is actually all the villagers. 2 are now able to save. themselves, but just for the cost of a lot of idle time. I mean, no proper functioning wood line, many villagers down already. This is absolutely terrible for Riot. Severely hurt.
Leary on the other flank is trying to stall for time. A tower was put up by Goku, but it was a very ineffective tower. It was trying to range the stone, but he wasn't able to reach it in time, and the castle will go up anyway. On the north side, they're trying to push in. Leary should be able to quickly wall that and buy some time. He just needs to buy a few seconds, just long enough to get his castle up and get a few plumed archers out, because once the plumes are out, this army will do very, very little damage. He can always hop into the TC for safety as well. He's going to keep walling behind this and stalling and stalling. That castle will, of course, kill the tower also once it comes up, and he's adding a second TC at the back. So Lyria should be absolutely fine, but it is a case of getting a few plumes out here to deal with the raiding units from Goku and Riot.
This is what I like about this very situation, about Hera and Lyria, what they do. Because normally, I liked what Goku actually thought. It is, okay, my opponent is walling up, I will go for the towers. First of all, the tower was not as effective, as you said. And on top of this one, it was way too fast. You don't expect Lyria to click up that early, but due to the help of Hera, he was able to get this castle up fairly early, which means that there's no real damage done against his FC, so to speak. I like this a lot.
Yeah, and with the fast creation speed of these plumed archers, 4 or 5 plumes will be enough to send Goku away. And Goku's villagers back here might get picked off as well, actually, if they go too far away from safety. I think he's heading back toward the north, so that would be the better place for him to be. Yeah, on the right side, looks like MBL is still looking for some damage with his scouts. He's actually inside of Miguel's base now, and he'll find a villager kill there, quite comfortably done. So far, MBL not doing a huge amount of damage around the map, but has certainly shown some presence. He's now in the Castle Age, though, and he's going for that Slavic Castle Age push, which I'm a big fan of. I really like seeing it when the Slavs go for the Pike and Mangonel combo in Castle. I think that's so good.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's just also a message, okay, I'm not going to bother with too much of cavalry. I'm just going to use what I'm going to be able to use in the late game as well. But Pikemen and Siege also already in Castle Age, so strong. Requires a lot of micro to deal with the very situation. Keeps the opponent busy. Therefore, effective, dedicated, and has a lot of really nice potential.
Yeah, I'm really feeling Aftermath right now. At the moment, they just seem to be winning all over the map, getting a lot of raiding damage done. And look at the difference in villages, for example, between Riot and the rest of Aftermath. You know, it's nearly it's a 9-10 villager difference, and Riot's your pocket player here. You really want him to be in full force, especially as the Indians. So Slav's going to be moving forward against the Franks. I mean, this is a great matchup for him because he can just go straight into Pike, knowing that there's like a 99.9% chance the Franks making cavalry, right?
Yeah, to be honest, yes. That's exactly what is expected. Then again, though, Franks have a chance to deal with just infantry if they make use of their cheaper castles, that is. And Miguel is indeed on the stone. And then if he puts up the castle, even produces throwing axemen, could be working. But yeah, would just save himself. Of course, the cavalry would be the bigger unit that you can utilize for the sake of a team match.
Yeah, look at this though. Goku is here with his archers. I mean, he's
unexpected.
Like, yeah, from the other side of the map. He's like, well, guys, the Slavs are over here. Okay, send some archers. Okay, who's making archers? Oh, it's the guy on the other side of the world. Well, hang on a minute. I'm on the way. I'll be there. Don't worry.
Eventually.
Yeah. So he's trying to dodge these mangonels. If Miguel can clean that up, then Goku can get involved with the archers and actually fight the pikes. There you go. This worked out quite well in the end because, I mean, what else is he going to do? Try and fight the plumes? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I actually love this. I mean, even though this was really, really brave of Goku to walk around just with a set of archers throughout the whole map, where there's nothing, no sign of possibilities to actually create a choke point to hide your units. Well done, quite effective, and there we go. MBL now has been denied of his own siege workshop on the back foot now. He needs the help of his teammate.
Now Goku's going to lose this whole army, but, you know, that's it's worth sending them over there, I guess. I mean, it's the best he could make out of that situation. He's going to get chased down by the plumes, and although he'll do crossbow and bodkin, these plumes should chase him down and clean him up, I imagine.
Yeah, it should be like this. Really like how this game is currently evolving. I thought that it was a bit too easy for Aftermath, but now BZK with a smart move have delayed their opponents quite significantly. Now it's their time to actually make use of this vacuum that they created. But like you've said, Goku has now lost his entire army. More needs to be done very soon.
Yeah, and Hart, the Indian player for AM, is at 85 vils, and Riot's at 44. That's because Riot is now slinging Miguel. So you've got the Indian player slinging the Franks, and that just doesn't work, in my opinion. Because what is the Frank player doing here? He's doing knights, right? He can't make camels. So how do you play Franks versus Indians?
Yeah, only aggressively with forward castles, like I've said earlier. But this is really just idealistic, and in team games, oftentimes way too ballsy. You cannot actually go for this very move. You're right; it's quite of a impossible task.
Yeah, I don't like this at all. Actually, I much prefer Aftermath's position with the camels from Hart. And you know, even if Miguel's up to the Imperial Age now, he's got no production. He just lost his 2 stables. He's building 1 castle now. Fire needs to come and support him if possible, because Fire is also up to Imp. Yeah, I'd much rather sling the Indians than the Franks in this position. I'm not really sure what BZK expect the Frank sling to achieve. This is not a game where Mass Knights and Cavalier will win, because you have an Indian player being slung on the other team. Makes no sense.
Right. So in the long run, it doesn't make any sense here. And what we can also spot here is, even though MBL has been delayed, he's still up there with his considerable army of pikemen and siege, together with the elite plumed archers of Larry, as he has been in Imperial Age for a longer period of time. So now it is Miguel Zin alone, and he actually has been chosen to be the MVP with the slinging that he receives. But
he's the chosen one.
Yeah.
Oh, this is hurting me. This is really hurting me. He's just losing every villager to try and kill these rams, and oh dear. Goku is here with some Portuguese crossbow again. This is a mess. I mean, I just think BZK have absolutely fallen apart in this game. This is really a really poor game from them, and you know, I don't want to say like Aftermath didn't play well, but BZK just seemed to play incredibly off in that one, and that was a really quick game. Aftermath get a very decisive victory.
That was even the Imp TC, by the way, of Mikkelsen. So
it was?
Oh,
yeah. I didn't even think it would be the Imp one. I just assumed he would do it further back. But oh man, the Imp TC down as well. Come on, that's just. Oh goodness me! Oh goodness me! Yeah, I just think strategically BZK they weren't there. I'm not feeling it at all. I'm not sure what their game plan really was. Obviously it hurt that Riot got raided earlier on in the game. But in that case, surely just make Fire sling Riot. Right? Make the slab player sling the Indians, and the Indians can start contributing with camels.
Probably yes. I mean, at first I thought, okay, Riot is pocket. That's actually perfect. This is how it should be. But I guess Aftermath was aware of this. And they said, you know what, we'll go for Riot as soon as possible. And then it just led to this very situation. I think this was quite calculated out of Aftermath, that they focused on Riot in the feudal age to actually provoke this very situation in case they have an Indian's pocket as an opponent. Unlucky for sure.
Yeah, or alternatively, get your Portuguese player to sling, like we saw with Hira here. I mean, I again don't really understand why we had Goku making crossbow into the plumed archers of Lyri. It doesn't work. And okay, I did commend Goku for sending his army to the opposite side of the map to fight MBL. That was quite effective. But as soon as the plumed archers arrived, well, you just can't fight that. So even though Goku was inside of Miguel's base to try and help, knights and crossbow versus plumes and pikes and some siege, it's a really tough one. But well played to Aftermath. They make it through. And once again, BZK not quite able to go and put in the performance that they'd hoped for. I think BZK have so much potential, but just it's not realized in this tournament. And they've definitely dropped off since the Nations Cup days. So